Awesome. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining today and meditating. I definitely felt all of the group energies and I wanted to keep meditating. I didn't even know 30 minutes had passed. So, thank you to everyone for your time and for listening to me. For those of you who don't know, my name is Sreeja and I'm currently 21 years old and I'm a senior and I go to college. So, today, I wanted to talk about technology because lately I've heard a lot of discourse on technology, its impact on our lives. And as you all know, I mean, technology has a huge role in our everyday roles, our jobs, personal life, entertainment, everything. And especially with spirituality, I wanted to talk about how technology kind of plays a role in that and how we can use it to enhance our spiritual practices. So, first, I want to talk about the fact that technology is so badly talked upon these days. At least in my experience, I hear a lot of people saying technology is really harmful, technology is going to ruin our lives. Technology is going to make us stop thinking, our brain is going to become rotted. And I understand why people are scared, but first, I think we should demystify the idea that technology is bad. Anything in life is a double-edged sword, right? Money, fame, success, anything has a good side and a not good side, right? But as spiritual masters, it is our job to detach from the emotions of something and see it for what it is and use anything to make our lives better and make our spiritual connection better, right? So technology is the same thing. It's just a tool that is there. And it's up to us to ensure that we use it in the right way so that we can become better people out of it and not the other way around. I saw this really amazing quote that stuck with me, and it said, make technology your assistant, but don't become technology's assistant, right? And I think there's a very fine line between the two. So, one example of how we can become technology's assistant is doom scrolling. And doom scrolling means when you don't even realize and you're just scrolling on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube. Those apps are designed to keep us in the app for a long time, right? Because that's how they profit. Just like any business, they're looking to profit. And how they profit is if us, the users, are in the apps for a long time. So they make the apps addicting on purpose to keep us there. And when we fall for that trap, when we're scrolling, and we don't even realize it, we are feeding into that addiction and we're actually helping technology and it's not even helping us, right? So that's how we become slaves to our phones and to our laptops. And then the question becomes, do you really have freedom and are you using your free will properly if your mind wants to stop scrolling but you can't because of the addiction? I personally faced this and I got really scared one day because I was scrolling on my phone and it started off innocent. I was like, I'm just gonna take a break. I had a really stressful day. So I was scrolling. And then after 20 minutes or so, I wanted to stop, but I couldn't. I just kept going. And that really scared me. And I had to pause and think that am I becoming technology's assistant? It's not even helping me anymore, right? I was helping it, and it doesn't even have a soul. So why am I becoming so attached to it? So that's when I realized that I need to start using technology in a better way. And I know that we all face similar problems, which is why I wanted to shed light on this topic because we can do as much meditation as possible. We can have as much wisdom as possible. But at the end of the day, if we are so addicted or attached to something, that's going to hold us back so much from our spiritual growth and spiritual potential. So I think this topic is very, very important. And I am still trying to, build my relationship, make it healthier with technology. But there are a few things that I've learned that I think can really help. Number one is setting limits on apps. So I know that now a lot of apps have features where you can set a timer. I personally like to set a 1 hour timer for every app every day. That way I can be mindful of the fact that I'm not scrolling too much, or I know how much time I've spent on each app. So that is something that has really helped me set a boundary with that. But when it comes to spiritual growth itself, I think technology can be really, really helpful when we integrate it into our everyday lives. I know that it's helped me set a good spiritual routine for myself and ensure that I do all my habits every day. And honestly, if it wasn't for some of the systems that I set in place, I probably would forget it, right? And technology is also beautiful because it connects all of us, right? We're all probably from different states, even different countries. And if we didn't have Zoom, or if we didn't have a platform to connect us all, we wouldn't be feeling each other's group energies, or we wouldn't be able to share all of the collective knowledge with each other that make all of us better masters, right? No individual piece of knowledge is worth more than all of ours combined, and it is through technology that we're doing that. So I hope in today's gratitude practice you guys say thank you to your iPhone, your laptop, because truly we're able to do so much with it, and I know that my life has become better because of it too. So now we'll get into how we can actually use technology to strengthen some of our spiritual practices. So number one is voice recording your affirmations. So actually, I saw this study that said affirmations are shown to have a more profound effect when you record them with your own voice, because your mind thinks of it as you speaking to yourself, which in turn strengthens the belief as opposed to someone else telling you. So, in your phone, in the voice memos app, whatever goals you have, turn them into affirmations in the present tense. Like, for example, I am rich, I'm successful. I'm sure all of you know how affirmations are supposed to work. So, you can actually customize them when you record them yourself, right? And you can tailor them to whatever you want to be specifically. I know in YouTube and everything, it's very, very general, but if there's something really specific you're trying to get, you can record that affirmation and listen to it over and over again when you're walking, when you're sleeping, as soon as you wake up. Sometimes when I'm at my work, I just listen to affirmations while I do my work. And that way, I'm getting it more and more into my subconscious. So, voice recording your own affirmations can be really, really helpful, and I highly recommend that all of you try it. Next, I would say setting reminders for daily practice. So, what I do is I have recurring reminders on my phone. So, every night I have a reminder to write my gratitudes down. And this is because, balancing work, personal life, everything, sometimes I know I forget to do my spiritual practices every day. And then in the long term, if I don't do it, I wonder why I don't feel so energetic like I used to when I am consistent. So having that reminder is so helpful for me, because I'll be like, oh yeah, let me just take 5 minutes to, think about what I'm grateful for. And then my vibration is already raised 10 times more than if I forgot to do it. So I have recurring reminders every day to meditate, to practice gratitude, to listen to my affirmations, and every day it rings at the same time based on my routine. And on the weekends, I'll set it for different times because my routine is different on the weekends. So I think if you were able to do that, it would really be helpful so that you don't ever forget, and you're always consistent with your habits, as opposed to writing it in a notebook and then maybe you forget it somewhere and you don't remember. And lastly, I wanted to talk about ChatGPT. Now, I know that AI is a very, very polarizing topic, and I've seen more and more people using AI. So I wanted to touch on this a little bit based on what I've learned about AI. It can be so easy to go to AI for everything, and I just wanted to recommend that it is not spiritually hygienic for us to do that, because we lose touch with our own intuition and our own voice, right? When we meditate and we strengthen our relationships with ourselves, a lot of the times the answers are within us, right? So if we're facing a problem or we have a doubt on something, we should look inward because all of the answers are here. When we go to ChatGPT for everything, and it can be so easy to do that because, it has a lot of answers, it can be super easy to just get into the habit of doing that and then stop listening to yourself because sometimes the answers within ourselves come a lot slower than the quick availability of AI. But it's so much more beautiful when you get your answers yourself, right? Because they're coming from the universe and they're coming from the cosmic, as opposed to data that's all been gathered and the patterns have been identified and it's just generating something for you. So when it comes to using AI, I would really recommend getting in the habit of not being reliant on it. But I have found that it can be really helpful to design your own spiritual plan. So I wanted to show you an example of a prompt that I put in, and you can tailor this prompt to you and whatever your needs are. But I thought that it was really nice. So I'm just gonna share my screen really fast. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so here's a simple prompt that I put into ChatGPT. So I said, I'm a 21-year-old girl who's trying to manifest more money into her life. Help me identify my limiting beliefs and give me strategies on how I can overcome them in 21 days. So it broke it down on identifying limiting beliefs about money, right? So these are common limiting beliefs that people have. So the first step that I would take from this is to write all of these down and then write how I feel about each of them. So, for example, I have to work extremely hard to make money, right? Maybe I grew up with that belief. So I would write down, my dad always used to say this to me, or my teachers used to always say this to me, and I do have this belief. So with that, you can learn to understand your own limiting beliefs. So I think this did a really good job of hitting all the core or all of the main ones. And from there, you can kind of do this inner work yourself to identify your own common limiting beliefs. And then number two, it said to flip and rewire the belief, right? So it gave me the old one and then a new empowering one. So again, I would follow the same step, but write it down by myself. And then it also gave me a little plan for rewiring my brain. So, morning affirmations, journaling, visualization, and inspired action. These are all lessons that we've learned, right, previously from our masters, but this gave me a way to actually implement it into my daily life, which then I could either follow this or maybe customize it to like my own routine. And it also gave me journaling prompts and affirmations and also tips to stay on track because it knows that, sometimes you can get off track. So, all in all, this, I think it generated a very good plan for me to do the work myself. But that's why I was very careful with the way I prompted it. And I said, give me strategies, right? I've seen that a lot of people use AI for therapy, and I think that can be a very dangerous thing because if you are telling a computer all of your problems, and if you are sharing personal emotions and getting attached to it, it can become very isolating, and in the long term you're not going to go to other humans or your soul for that connection because a computer is giving it to you so much faster and so much easier. But if you ask it to design a plan for you or help you strategize, as you can see, it did a really good job planning, and if I just follow that for 21 days, I'm sure I would be so much more further in my limiting beliefs than I used to before. So that's an example of how you can use technology to make it your assistant and actually help you rather than, becoming reliant or overly attached to it. So that's what I had to say about ChatGPT, but please feel free to agree or disagree with me. I'm still, learning about AI just as much as anyone else. And then lastly, something very helpful that I found was putting my vision board on my phone and my laptop as the wallpaper. So think of the amount of times you open your phone every single day. If you have an iPhone, it actually tells you And one time by 10 a.m., I had opened my phone 123 times. And that's not something we realize, but if you put your vision board or an inspirational quote or something you want to manifest as your wallpaper, I would have looked at that 123 times by 10 a.m., right? And that's gonna go into my brain. And if I start my day looking at that, I'm subconsciously more likely to take action that align with those goals as opposed to me not looking at it at all. So that's also a way that technology can help you when you put what you want on it and you put what you don't want away from it. So I have this folder in my iPhone called Don't Open, and it's literally all of the apps that are, addicting, like social media, and I put it all the way in the corner so that I don't see it. That's not the first thing I see when I open my phone. And the apps that I do highlight are I have this Bhagavad Gita app, and I have this meditation app that has guided meditations, and I have, the news app, so that when I open my phone and my brain automatically tries to go to those apps, I'll see these and it'll catch my brain and be like, oh, wait, you can read a verse of the Bhagavad Gita instead of scrolling. And then I do that. Or you can maybe read a piece of news and educate yourself more. So that's what I like to do. And then that folder, I rarely touch it anymore because it's out of my sight. So that's something that really helped me as well. And overall, I would say sometimes it can be really hard to know whether your relationship with technology is healthy or not, right? Because I also fell into this trap where I would only watch self-help videos and I'd be like, oh, I'm watching, self-help videos, so it's okay. But I would spend 3 hours doing that, which at that point, is it even really helping you or are you still scrolling? So I have an equation that I think would be really helpful for everyone when you don't know whether technology is helping you or not. And in life, I know that we're supposed to have a balance, right? We're supposed to maintain balance with our health, balance with, our mental health, balance with our career. But I think in one category, you should always maintain an imbalance, which is creation over consumption. So every day, I think you should try asking yourself, am I creating more or am I consuming more? Because the main issue with technology is that it causes us to overconsume, right? Whether it be consuming videos or consuming opinions of other people or consuming all of this information, which can overload in our brain and actually cause all the issues with technology that we see today, right? Technology is not the main problem, it's the amount that we consume that is the problem. So it doesn't matter how much you use your phone every day. Are you creating more or are you consuming more? Right? So for example, with the ChatGPT plan I showed you, if I just kept asking ChatGPT more and more and more things and I wasn't actually following through on that plan, that's an example of me consuming so much more than I'm creating, right? Because I'm not creating my reality if I'm not following all those things. I'm just consuming all this information for nothing. And same thing with, anything else that you do, right? Are you using technology to create your dream life? Like, are you creating art? Are you using what you learned to create something? And it doesn't have to be anything amazing. Creating is beautiful in and of itself because it comes from our soul. Creation is what manifests from the universe onto our reality, right? When we get an idea to write something, to draw something, to share something with the world, it's connecting the universe to us and we're putting it out into the world. And that's so beautiful. But when we're consuming, our brain sometimes doesn't know how to filter out what is good versus not good, when it's too much, and that's when it can become a problem and it can, hinder our spiritual growth. So as long as we're creating more than we're consuming every single day, then technology is not going to be a hindering factor in your life. So I try to ask myself that every day. I'm like, am I being creative? Am I using my creative abilities enough? And Am I using technology to help me do that, or is technology actually blocking me from doing that? So that is something I recommend you all ask yourself every day when you put your phone down at the end of the night. And maybe if you journal at night, you can do a quick reflection like, what did I create today versus how much did I consume? And that will just help us be more mindful throughout the day and hopefully help us consume less. Because again, part of why we do meditation is to stop attaching emotions to everything, right? And we don't think when we do meditation, it's blank because we're just focusing on our breath. And that's also an example of creation because we're not consuming, we're not attaching ourselves to anything. So we need to carry that energy even when we're not meditating, right? Even when we're in our day-to-day life. So that is something I think will really help us grow spiritually as well if we ask ourselves these questions and we're using technology to help us do that. But again, overall, I think when we attach fear to anything, technology included, it can become bad very quickly, right? If we're so fearful that technology is going to ruin our lives or technology is wasting so much time or anything, we all know by now that fear is a repelling factor, right? Versus love and abundance. These are all attracting factors. So when we attach fear with technology, it is going to end up negatively affecting our lives versus if we are thankful for it, if we're thankful that it's connecting all of us together, it's making us smarter, more efficient, then it's going to help us in the long run. And when we, really understand ourselves and connect with our soul, we're not going to be addicted to the devices because that abundant state, that happy state is going to come from within us, right? It's not going to come from scrolling and it's not going to come from watching some video or something. Like it's already going to come from us. So please don't be scared of technology. Don't think that it is such a negative thing. I know some parents are very harsh on their kids when their kids use technology, but if we can teach other people how to use technology effectively and how we can help our own lives with it, I think overall society can progress forward a lot and can take this innovation and actually grow from it rather than go back. But that's my opinion on technology. Please let me know if you have any questions or if you need any help or advice or anything. I'd be happy to answer.